Hanging around. We are going to hear procurement, and then we will be taking a recess. Commissioner, you state your name for the record, and you may proceed with your testimony.
Sure.
And welcome.
My name is Trevor Day, Procurement Commissioner. Good afternoon, Councilman Heenan and members of City Council. I'm Trevor Day, Commissioner of the Procurement Department. I'm here to present for your consideration the Procurement Department's Fiscal Year 2018 budget request. With me today is Deputy Commissioner Nicholas Susie and Director of Administration LaShonda Tompkins. The department is requesting a total appropriation of all funds of $5,021,314, of which $4,932,053 is in the general fund. The proposed FY2018 general fund allocation represents an increase of $26,725 over the FY2017 estimated obligations, which is a result of exempt employee raises and increases as agreed to in the last contract with DC 33. Additionally, there's $5,000 restoration of a budget cut in Class 200 from FY17. $2,194,662, which amounts to about 45% of our total general fund budget request, represents citywide charter-mandated advertising expenses. The Procurement Department continues to strategically improve the way it conducts business and streamline its operations relative to contracting for concessions, public works, commodities, and maintenance contracts. During FY17, we began or implemented several projects that improve the operations of the Procurement Department. I'd like to highlight 4 of those projects. First, we launched PHL Contracts, a front-end e-procurement system enabling electronic bidding and vendor portal. To date, there are over 1,000 vendors registered in PHL Contracts. Of those 1,000, 11% are LBE certified, and 23% are registered minority, women, and disabled business entities. An additional 6.5% are self-reported women, minority, and disadvantaged businesses, for a combined of 29.5% diverse suppliers. We've partnered with OEO to share that contact information of the self-reported vendors to assist with their registry recruitment. Each week, we continue to increase the overall number of vendors registered in PHL Contracts, with a special focus on local and diverse suppliers. Second, we awarded a reverse auction contract and have conducted several events enabling the city departments to purchase more with their budgeted resources. For instance, the Streets Department experiences a high demand for recycling bins for city residents. With the price secured through the reverse auction, they'll be able to purchase thousands more bins at a price that is lower than the price they paid 9 years ago. Third, we expanded our efforts to market city contract opportunities with a focus on local and diverse suppliers. Representatives from my office have attended over 20 off-site events this fiscal year, reaching more than 1,000 companies. This is a 200% increase in the number of events attended as compared to last fiscal year. We have also posted a list of expiring contracts on our website, giving the business community information on when contracts are projected to end. This list provides vendors a plan on when a new replacement contract may be posted and allows them the opportunity to better prepare to respond. Finally, we've expanded our training and technical assistance to internal city stakeholders and vendors. In this fiscal year alone, we've held 24 training workshops for city departments regarding procurement and training on PHL contracts. Every week, we hold 2 trainings for vendors interested in learning more about our e-procurement system. The first is focused on registering with PHL contracts, and the second covers submitting quotes and becoming more familiar with the system. We've posted 14 quick start guides for PHL contracts, and we're also in the process of developing online video tutorials. We continue to achieve a high level of awards to local businesses, However, I applaud this legislative body for passing a bill that changed the LBE regulations that went into effect in January 2017. Our expectation is that the percent of contracts awarded to local businesses may decline in the coming years as the new certification is a more rigorous test of a company's operations within the City of Philadelphia. The LBE preference now provides a true benefit to businesses that are either headquartered or have a significant operational footprint in the City of Philadelphia. We strive to achieve a high level of participation of minority and women-owned businesses in the contracts we award. In our public works contracts, we maintain a participation of 25% in 2016 and year-to-date in 2017. In our services, supplies, and equipment contracts, we've increased our participation from 24% in 2016 to 33% year-to-date in 2017. The Procurement Department, as noted in our written testimony, boasts a diverse staff, with 61% being African American, 35% Caucasian, and 4% Hispanic. Overall, 69% are women and 31% are men. In FY16, the Service Supplies and Equipment Program issued 259 bids, resulting in 306 contract awards, totaling just over $95 million. Also, 919 small order purchases under $32,000 were processed, totaling over $5.9 million. In FY16, the Public Works Program processed 152 bids and awarded 103 contracts worth $364 million. That program also awarded free concession opportunities that resulted in free contracts on behalf of various city agencies. Additionally, in FY16, the department collected $421,000 in revenue from the sale of obsolete or unserviceable property. However, in this fiscal year to date, the revenue generated in our inventory disposal program has risen to $795,000. Mr. President, or Mr. Councilman Heenan, this concludes my testimony. Should any council member wish to engage in further discussion on any of these matters, my staff and I are happy to answer any questions you may have or meet with any council members at their convenience.
Thank you for your testimony. I got a couple quick questions. But before I start, in your years, or in your knowledge of the history of procurement, and now we have the CAO, which I think is, kind of intertwined, but in procurement in particular, has there been as much activity when it comes to modernizing and new systems than you have now in the past year and a half?
In my experience, no. I think this administration has put an emphasis on the administrative departments through the CAO, and that it has been and continues to be, I think, a boon to the city.
That's great. So with that, the federal government has been working on a program, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, called 18F, the General Service Administration. In the General Service Administration, one of the primary goals of the program is to create an agile service delivery system that can move quickly from solicitation of services to contract execution in 4 weeks. Is that something that I think once these systems are up and running that we can work towards? And if not, what would be holding us back?
4 weeks would be fantastic. I think we're a little bit away from that. I do think the systems will help. I'm more than willing to look at the federal government or any government that is providing efficiencies on contracting. I think enabling departments to purchase and buy their needs creates efficiencies on the operations to those city departments, and I'm more than willing to look.
Well, we could talk offline and catch up about it learn a little more about it, because 18F boasts an internal consulting arm that provides tech-based insight to ensure that the items that are being procured will have the agility to keep up with the tech advances, in the life cycles that we have here. Technology changes, materials changes, how we purchase and order, as you well know, changes. So I'm not sure how we are focusing now to ensuring that these purchases made through procurement not only meet the current needs, all right, but adapt to the future needs. So I guess that would be a question.
Sure. Well, I mean, Charlie Brennan, the CIO, had mentioned earlier in his testimony that, you know, there's a meeting in the not too distant future looking at how we purchase technology. And I think that'll be a special focus. The CAO is involved with that, OIT, and procurement.
So that would be, so currently we don't have an internal, I guess, consulting on moving forward, I guess. So I guess this, you know, joint meeting, all right, or attention to just how we see and look at the longevity of procurement is going to be what we're looking at next.
Yes.
Is that our next step?
And I think that's, you know, critical to how the city purchases any of its technology, and ensuring that, you know, we have contracts that are agile and that are do meet the needs of OIT and the rest of the city agencies.
So last on that, and then I'll go to the members here. If we're not, are we assisting our departments in their purchasing and procurement?
Yes. Yeah. So there's
other than purchasing of goods, right, in bulk, right?
Yeah. So I mean, on goods and service and commodities, we work with the departments hand in hand to identify the specifications, ensure that we're putting out a contract that is going to be used by the departments. The public works contracts, those specifications are really written by each individual department, whether that's the airport or public property. And
in your central.
Yeah, and we're ensuring that how we put it out meets the regulations that we need to follow.
Okay. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you. You're one of my favorite departments. How about that? Let me commend you on the exponential uptick of outreach activities, because it does matter. And we know that you can't get your job done sitting at your desk. You really have to be on the front line, eyeball to eyeball with all types of businesses, stretching the margins so that the city can do better when it comes to this issue of procurement, inclusion, and diversity around inclusion. So you quoted a fabulous number for how you've tripled your outreach activities. Has any thinking been given to the next level down, to drill down and maybe now pose the question, what is the yield of that activity? X number of people attend over a period of time. How many of those ultimately apply and or apply and look to the opportunities that you put in front of them?
We haven't looked at those metrics. I mean, we could start, we try and capture at the events that we attend the businesses that are there.
Yes.
There are times that we attend events that we don't capture all the businesses that are there. But I mean, that's something that I think we could look at. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because then you can, well, my office has, for the last 10 years, partnered with either the airport early on and now PIDC every year during Met Week, where we host a gathering down at the Navy shipyard. And once we get that pool of new businesses, we do try to track to see where they end up. Yeah. So it's just added information which can inform how and what you may want to do differently. So could you begin to send to council members the schedule of those training sessions that you mentioned?
Absolutely.
Please,
we can,
make
we can
that
distribute
a regular
that.
practice.
Absolutely.
Because we often get requests, how can I do this? How can I do that?
No problem.
And just be able to say the city is already hosting this initiative on a regular basis would be huge.
Great.
Okay.
I'd be happy to.
I thank you also for the information you provided with regards to the diversity of your staff. We all know that matters. And I've learned to then ask the next question, drilling down, how well are we doing with regards to pay equity? Now that we have a more diverse workforce, that's a great thing. Pay equity becomes the next question. And so in looking at your chart on page, I can't tell you now what page it is. Here's the observation made by staff on page 11 of your testimony. You state that there are 3 female members that make up your executive team. However, in drilling down a step more, on average, these female members of your staff are paid $24,000 less than their male counterparts. So help me understand how that happens, knowing that civil service sometimes has its handicap, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
Are they exempt positions? And then discuss the roles of the executive staff members of your team.
Okay. So last year at budget hearings, I testified, and our executive team was essentially 3 people, and we had 2 vacant positions. And the makeup of that executive team was 66% Caucasian and 33% Hispanic. And you know, we have a dynamic leadership team. I'm very proud of our leadership team. We have skills and experience, and we're leading the procurement department through a significant change.
No doubt.
And, you know,
in a handsome way. Really?
Yeah. We now have an executive management team that is 40% Hispanic, 40% Caucasian, and 20% African American. You know, with regard to parity, the commissioner and deputy commissioner positions, you know, we're currently paid less than the commissioner and deputy commissioner positions under the previous administration.
Is that right?
And the other 3 positions are being paid either the same or more than those positions were paid under the previous administration. So I think we're trying to, you know, sort of create less parity.
Yes.
And we're trying to move that bar.
Well, thank you very, very much for the feedback. And again, my congrats for stretching the margins and deepening the awareness of what you do and the opportunities that can exist with city government when it comes to growing, thriving businesses.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for everything you guys are doing. Just a quick couple questions. Part of your mission is to dispose of quality goods. Do you have any kind of an idea of an inventory, dollar value-wise, of items that we need to dispose of that we haven't been able to?
I don't know.
So, Nicholas Suzy, Deputy Procurement Commissioner. I don't know if we've categorized at this point things that we know are ready to be disposed of. We do have a process, an internal process with all the operating departments to go through their inventory on an annual basis, and then of course throughout the year, to figure out what they need to dispose of, if it's reached end of life, and we work very closely with the Office of Fleet Management to, you know, figure out what their fleet vehicle refresh rate, what they can actually give up to start, you know, to go to surplus disposals. So we could definitely try to look into that. I think one thing that would be difficult with the current system we have is it doesn't actually track, you know, by phase where we are with things that maybe need to be disposed of. And that's something we're looking into, as mentioned in our longer testimony, that we are looking into a new inventory management system.
Right. So, I mean, because wasn't there some sort of system that was purchased a few years ago that's not being used, that's sitting in a warehouse somewhere?
Not related to personal property, to what we manage.
Right.
I can't speak to any other systems.
Okay. And let me ask you another question. What steps are currently being taken to improve the accounts payable processing time, and what would you say on average is the amount of time it takes us to process and pay a bill?
So there's a distinction between how we process and pay bills on the professional services contracts and on the procurement contracts. Generally, and I haven't looked at a report in the last couple months, but the previous reports that I've seen, you know, procurement department contracts, we typically pay on a 45-day on average. And it does depend on, there's, you know, each department is receiving the invoice, managing the invoice, approving the invoice, and sending it to finance for payment. And so if there's additional steps within a certain department, that may be, you know, within the operational responsibility of that department.
Would there be a discount if we paid within 30?
There currently is not under contract, and I'm more than willing to sort of look at that contractually. And I think that's, you know, sort of a standard out there, and I would be more than willing to.
So maybe you could come back to us with some sort of an idea. If we got the payments within 30 days, what's the discount we would receive?
Okay.
And then the other question I have is, any idea of the percentage of contracts that go to local vendors?
Yes. So annually, we report on LBE, which is local business entities. I think this year we awarded 77% of our total contracts awards to local business entities. But as I referenced, that certification is changing, and so that number may go down, in the future years.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Why would the percentage go down? Is the incentive going away, or is it lessening?
The incentive is not going away. It's going to stay the same. The certification process has changed. So before, you could have been a business like Enterprise car rental and get certified as a local business.
Right. I think we're really going to,
right.
The percentage will go down, but you're going to have actual local business entities.
So we currently have about 250 businesses certified, and we're doing, an effort to get more true local businesses certified. So, it's my best guess, but, now the program is really geared towards benefiting businesses that either are headquartered or do have a significant footprint of operations in the city of Philadelphia.
I'll tell you what, I think that, that's credit to you guys that, that are really, honing in on local businesses, and I'm glad the councilman brought that question up on LBE. Is the department working, do you work with the Commerce Department, right, to try to create more of an outreach for LBEs for things that are made here and things that, where people provide our services here? And if you don't, can we do something? I know Councilman Green has stated it many times, and Councilman Dom as well. My role as co-chair of the Manufacturing Task Force and Industry, we have a supply chain here, even with our institutions, with our local businesses, hospitals. We can really create a better business opportunity or models for a supplier network chain, and I'd be interested in even having hearings on that, or sitting together with some of the offices and the departments to figure out how do we utilize people here, and what, we might be able to even create some jobs at the same time, but they would be local business entities.
Yeah, so we meet with, I've met with Harold, we meet regularly with IOLA and the head of OEO, the Office of Economic Opportunity, and looking at exactly that, what opportunities are there that the city's putting out that we could attract either local or minority women businesses that really should be opportunities that people can be awarded.
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity, especially now that you're focusing in on the eligibility part of it, and really giving local businesses the better opportunity. I think now that you have that in place, we can expand, and we should. And I'd be interested in pulling some people together and figuring out how do we achieve those goals. So last, and I'll be done my lines of questions, and then we'll take a break. Does the city currently participate in facilitating any cooperative purchasing agreements in order to buy bulk across the region and reduce administrative costs?
Can you clarify by cooperative, sort of joint purchasing with another entity?
Other entities or departments, or quasi city agents. So if we're going to be bulk purchasing, let's go big.
We do that with some specific commodities. So fuel, when we purchase fuel for the city of Philadelphia. We also, the school district is a part of that contract. So they purchase their fuel off of our contract. So we're pooling our resources and our purchasing power to get a better competitive price. We also sort of leverage other government contracts to on some commodities to get a better price as well. Again, it doesn't necessarily take away from the local or minority women-owned businesses, because a lot of those government contracts have that built into the contract structure. And then, again, we've been in conversations with PHA or the school district on looking at, their contract portfolio, our contract portfolio, and sharing that information.
I'm glad to hear that you're looking in that direction because, one, the bulk increases, right, and the prices, and there's all kinds of savings that go into it, but we can branch off into other areas maybe, right, and taking a look at how
Sure.
that'll apply, and we'll regroup over this at another time, but if there's anything that this body, City Council, can do to help assist in that, I'm sure, we'd be more than willing.
That'd be great. Thank you.
If any, Council recognizes Councilwoman Brown.
I overlooked one question, forgive me. On the local business entities discussion, there was a 5% decrease. And you've spoken well to what you've done to grow the pie. But help me understand why there was a 5% decrease in FY18 in terms of contracts awarded to local businesses. We went from 80% to 75%. I think it's page 8 of your testimony.
So that is strictly on public works contracts, and the percent of contracts awarded to local businesses, I believe. Let's see.
So for my own learning, give me an example of public works.
So that would be a construction on any city-owned property. And as I said, our projection is that, there are some businesses that are currently registered as LBE, and with the new regulation, they will no longer be LBE certified. So we envision that may impact it by 5% or something like that. Now, we're trying to attract other businesses who don't typically bid with the city and who are headquartered and operating in the city of Philadelphia.
Okay.
But again, that's our best guess at this moment.
Okay. All right, then, offline, you'll send the information regarding training
Training.
sessions to everyone, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members have any questions? Commissioner, I want to thank you and your team for your patience today and your testimony and answering our questions. And good job with trying to
Thank you.
Continue to bring us up into modern society, modern day technology when it comes to purchasing and procurement. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to take a recess. We'll be back in 45 minutes for continue our budget hearings with HR and another department. Thank you.